chance to see a new movie finally for I think the second time all year we'll be doing a new movie review in really the last calendar year. And here to do that with me is the Dowager Countess herself, Lady Cora. How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, thanks.
You have worked out your camera issues for the time being.
Technology, man. Yeah.
Technology can be a gigantic pain in the ass. And
yes.
no one knows that more than the roommate of my next guest. My segues, don't you, Jeremy?
They're
my hetero life mate, Grim Tuesday, Jeremy Wolner. What's going on, brother?
Yes, your segues are gold, my friend. Not only the roommate, but also it's me, I'm bitches, because again, there is some other technological force that is preventing me from streaming, and it is starting to piss me off a little bit. But it's okay.
That's all right. We'll figure it out eventually. We'll be able to bring you guys a top-notch podcast like I really want to. But anyway, again, there's some new movies that have managed to come out via streaming services, and one of them is Coming to America, Part 2, the sequel. Yes. I don't really like it when they put 2 in the name like that. It's really confusing. But anyway, before we get to that one, we're going to start with a retro movie review. You guys are going to get a bit of a gift today. We're going to have a retro movie review, followed by a new movie review, followed by us kind of talking about a couple of movies that we really dig from Eddie Murphy, who is in both of these movies. And the first movie we're getting to is Coming to America. It's a 1988 American romantic comedy film directed by John Landis and based on a story originally created by Eddie Murphy, who also stars in the lead role. The film co-stars Arsenio Hall, James Earl Jones, Sherry Headley, and John Amos. The first installment of the Coming to America film series. It was released in the United States in June 29th of 1988. Eddie Murphy plays Akeem Jaffer, the crown prince of the fictional African country of Zamunda, who travels to the United States in hopes of finding a woman that he can marry. It's a modestly successful. Actually, it wasn't modestly successful. It made $288 million, as I recall, against a budget of only about $35 million. So, I mean, for 1988, that was pretty much gigantic. That's almost Avengers money for 1988. I mean,
80s money. That's good.
Yeah, I want to adjust for inflation because I think that's all nonsense, but yeah, I mean, a fantastic, terribly popular movie that not only was good when it came out, but has managed to stand the test of time. Cora, what are some of your thoughts on the movie?
I loved it. I rewatched it last night. It's a fun, random, silly movie. I've loved it over the years. That's why I was so excited for the sequel, which we'll get to. But I loved it. A lot of the things I love about it, they copied in the second movie, so there'll be similar thoughts there. But great casting. Love the soundtrack. I like the costuming and the ridiculousness about that in some cases and how they just kind of let that be a comedy aspect in itself visually. And my favorite part about both movies is how Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall played so many different roles in makeup and with voice, adjustments. And yeah, my favorite part about the whole movie is the barbershop scenes.
They are pretty good.
Yeah. So top comedy from the 80s. And we'll talk about the sequel, but if we're just talking about the first one, fantastic. Love it.
Jeremy, I know that you, just like Cora, got a chance to watch both of these in the last day or so. What are some of your thoughts on the first movie?
Yeah, I got to rewatch it again last night. I kind of wanted to refresh myself on it because I hadn't seen it in a while. But it was nice doing back-to-back, watching Coming to America and then watching Coming to America because we can't do titles here. This is going to get really confusing. Like she said, honestly, the best parts are probably, it's you kind of forget, you can tell, but you kind of forget that it is Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall, again, doing all these other characters, and it speaks to them as actors and comedians that they played several other people in the movie, and it's just absolutely it's a gold mine of comedy to watch. And you know what, I got to do my favorite part too. I don't know why. It's just stupid because it's my humor. When he walks out, he's on this fucking balcony yelling, and he's like, "Fuck you! Yes! Fuck you too!" I just love that so much.
Yeah, there is something really funny about the man out of place aspect of the character. It's like he only really knows his ways for his fictional country of Zamunda, and then he comes to of all the places, a place like New York, which is so brash and outlandish anyway. Even in its modern iteration, it's kind of brash and outlandish. Back in the 70s and 80s, it was kind of a whole other level of that. So to see him kind of be this fish out of water, this uptight, aristocratic, very proper prince from a foreign land, to go to a place like Queens, New York, which is very much not all those things. At least it wasn't back in 1988. There was definitely a whole lot of comedy gold to be had there, but it's not just the situation. One of the things that makes movies like this timeless is the cast. And I've told people before that, you don't get a movie like The Wizard of Oz or something like that because you try to. You usually fall on that. You never catch lightning in a bottle on purpose. It's always by accident. It's always you're just trying to make a good movie. Things come together the way you want them to come together. And then you end up with something that 30 years down the line, people just adore. Something like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, something like that. This all seems to come together. And this is definitely one of those movies. I mean, for one, Eddie Murphy, who was already a gigantic star in his own right when this movie was made. You also have Arsenio Hall, who, obviously throughout all the 80s and early 90s had, I think it was right about now that he'd started the Arsenio Hall show. He had already been in a bunch of other stuff. James Earl Jones, who was already a legend at this point. John Amos, who was already kind of a legend at this point. It's just so many quality actors put into this great situation. And you finally got to see Eddie Murphy be, I think this is one of the first films where he finally kind of balanced the real acting and the comedy. Some of the things that he does very well. I've said a lot that Eddie Murphy is a much better actor than I think he gets credit for. And I think some of his recent movies have proven that. But yeah, it really is just, like I said, there's a reason these movies like this carry. It's because you found something magical. And John Landis, who... he was on a bit of a rough patch when he directed this movie. Eddie Murphy actually chose him to direct this movie because he had worked with him on Trading Places back in 1983, about 5 years earlier, and he really liked working with him and liked the experience of working with him then, even though historically they did not get along on this film set. But yeah, I mean, there was, when you get all these pieces and they come together, just great. It's fantastic. And on top of that, you have, like Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici made their little cameo. We'll get to that in just a second. You also had someone like Madge Sinclair, who played his mother, who was fantastic. Things like that. There's, like I said, these things, they really do come together nicely. And when they do, you get one of these movies that is absolutely timeless, just like this one. And it's one of the handful of movies that kind of encapsulates everything that was great about movies back in the 1980s, in that decade where things did kind of get a little one-sided. Everybody got a little special effects happy, so everything was kind of a one-note joke. There was a lot of explosions, one-liners, and no real story. This was actually a really good story. It had the strong element of romance. It had the strong element of comedy. There are these moments that are kind of fast-paced in the movie, but they didn't run over what was the most important aspects of the film, which were the comedy and this relationship building between Eddie Murphy and Sherry Headley's character. Do you guys have any other thoughts other than that?
I would say the building of the family relationship between he and his dad finally developing and his dad accepting him more, and the family connection between his wife and her own father. They both had the experience of having fathers that were pushing them in a certain direction, and both finally accepted that their kids wanted to go off on their own and do life their own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they both kind of had the same problem. Like their families, namely their fathers, were kind of like choosing their lives for them, and they weren't about that. So at least they had that to kind of build on. Yeah,
yeah.
And then you have one of the actors I've said a million times that I absolutely love, in John Amos. There's nothing he's ever been in where he hasn't been an absolute rock. I mean, he has just been so solid in everything. And I'm old enough to go back into the 70s stuff when it was in syndication. I watched it when I was young, and he is fantastic in just about everything. And also, you got a young Samuel L. Jackson as the robber that
yes. I almost forgot about that.
So funny because I literally just watched Captain Marvel the night before and got to experience for the first time his character's fury when he's young, and the eye and the cat incident thing. And so I laughed extra hard when I saw that, because I got to see the actual Samuel L. Jackson when he's young compared to the CG version in Captain Marvel. And I was like, yeah, a little different.
Or the older, grittier version that you get in all the stuff that he films now, especially the Nick Fury stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, you also had a young Eric LaSalle who went on to be who's in ER and a bunch of other things, and now he's directing for Tyler Perry Studios. One of the big things that he's got going on the Oprah channel right now. So
nice.
yeah, and then to top it off, you get these great pop culture references that have never died, even though they never really existed, like Soul Glow. It's like, I mean, you can't sing the Soul Glow song and not have any real movie fans start kind of singing along with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Also, I noticed something. I noticed something in the credits. It said the kid that was getting his haircut in the barbershop was this
Cuba
little
Gooding
guy
Jr.
named by Cuba Gooding Jr. I was like, what?
He actually
He's come back though for the sequel. I noted that.
No, he didn't. I don't remember if there was a reason why, but yeah, he didn't come back to the sequel. I mean, I don't know. His career has kind of started and stopped since this movie came out, so maybe they didn't call him. I don't really know. But there are a couple of pieces of trivia that I found. Actually, there's a whole lot of trivia that I found, but I didn't want to dig into too much of it because we have other things to get to over the course of the stream. The first one, obviously, anybody who has ever watched movies, especially Trading Places, caught this probably the first time they watched it. The homeless men receiving money from Prince Akeem are the Duke brothers, Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici from Trading Places, which was also directed by John Landis. In that movie, Billy Ray Valentine, the character played by Murphy, was responsible for the Dukes losing all of their fortune. So kind of a bit of a roundabout way of this circle closing for Eddie Murphy and him giving him some money to get those guys back on top.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Mortimer, we're back.
Yeah, I really love it when he looks at me and goes, "Mortimer, we're back.
We're back." I want to see a spin-off with those two guys.
That would be actually. I don't think any of them are still alive, though. I'm pretty sure Ralph Bellamy and Don Amici.
But there is a cameo. We won't get into it yet, but yeah, you see that they actually come back because of what he gave them.
A bit in the second movie, yeah.
Yeah, they mentioned that was awesome.
And kind of a reminder that the movies can be kind of a smart world themselves. The barbers call Akeem Kunta Kinte. John Amos actually played the adult Kunta Kinte in the Roots miniseries in 1977, and Madge Sinclair played Kunta Kinte's wife, and James Earl Jones played Alex Haley Jr. in Roots: The Next Generation, which came out in 1979. So a lot of the people that were involved in this were also involved in the Roots franchise, which makes it funny that the barbers called him Kunta Kinte. Another thing is when King Jaffe Joffer visits New York City to bring Akeem back to Africa, he wears a lion skin sash. Jeremy, you know where I'm going with this. Jones portrayed the voice of the Lion King, Mufasa, in Disney's The Lion King in 1994. Also, Madge Sinclair, who played Eddie Murphy's mother, Queen Aeolian, starred alongside Jones in The Lion King as Mufasa's wife, King Sarabi.
That's so awesome. I'm like, not the last time they played an African king and queen. So,
and unfortunately, Madge Sinclair, she died just, I think, about 6 years after this movie came out, which is actually one of the reasons why they came to the conclusion when they decided to make the second one that they weren't going to recast her, that they would just say that his mother passed away. She actually died of she had leukemia, I believe. She passed away in 1995 at the very disappointingly at the very young age of I think 53 or 54. Very, very young, but a very distinguished career for herself. I mean, she was a Jamaican-born actress who had been married to a Jamaican police officer at one point in her youth. Started acting and then moved to Hollywood, and then eventually took off. She was in some very big shows, like she was in Trapper John M.D. and a couple of shows, and then obviously did some film work as well. So from the I think it was the early 70s all the way up into the 90s before she passed away, she was getting regular roles and doing very, very well, very successful. Plenty of awards you guys can go look up. She won a bunch of them. But yeah, very disappointing that she couldn't come back, but I think it was probably fitting if they didn't recast her for the second movie, because probably a better way to pay homage to her. You know what I mean?
Can't replace her like that.
Yeah. But any final thoughts on that before we move into the next review? No final thoughts. Jeremy, how about you?
What final thoughts? I don't know. For what it is, I liked watching it again because I was just like, I still laughed at the same things as I always did. I didn't lose any magic to it because I guess in a way, as we're going to talk about later, with the movies I picked for Eddie Murphy, I'm like, I kind of picked ones that were of my era, which are kind of like, I guess, the Disney version of Eddie Murphy. So I didn't see these until I was an adult, so which is kind of nice. So I was kind of like, oh, that's how he used to. Whoa, it was a culture shock for me. So
yeah.
It was a little bit. Cora, do you have any final thoughts?
Loved it, and that's why I was so excited for the sequel.
Yeah, I was too.
Speaking of.
Yeah, this is one of the, like I said, this is of the 10 or 20 movies from the 80s that you have to watch. This is probably one of them.
Yeah, I agree.
It's outrageously hilarious without being too overbearing. I mean, I know you think Eddie Murphy comedy in the 80s and you tend to kind of get drawn to like Raw and Delirious, but a lot of people don't understand that he is a truly good actor and a truly good comedian and can kind of morph into a lot of different characters, hence the makeup and all the craziness and stuff that he's done in so many of his movies. Mm-hmm. Actually, this, believe it or not, was the first movie where he did that, where he put on all the makeup and played a different character altogether.
Nice.
And this is something that would become a staple of his career moving forward. So this is actually that was actually the first movie he did it. But again, I mean, if you really want to roll through 10 or 20 80s movies that you must see, this has got to be on that list. It's one of the probably one of the top 5 comedies to come out of the 80s. Mm-hmm. And it's not even like it's not a guilty pleasure movie. It's not one of those movies that went under the radar. It's like this movie exploded for a reason because it's hilarious, and it's held over time because it's hilarious. And you can't really find. I mean, I know this is one of those movies that a lot of people today don't want to go back and nitpick about how this is racist, this is whatever, this is bad. They just kind of go and enjoy it. And I'm glad that it's one of those movies that people don't want to take shots at from the past, because I think that would be a tremendous waste. Tremendous waste. Everybody should go see it. Mm-hmm. But moving on, we did get the sequel. Finally, the sequel released on Amazon, and it is called Coming to America with 2 in the credits, because I don't like when people do that. It's just lazy. I would rather give it a byline like Coming to America, Akeem's bastard son. That would have been a pretty funny byline for the movie, considering the dialogue and everything over the course of the film. But whatever. Do what you do. I thought the movie was good overall.
Could have called it Back to America or some shit, part 2.
You could have. It would have been much better. But in this sequel to the 1988 comedy classic, Akeem, the newly crowned king of Zamunda, is facing a crisis. While he has 3 amazing daughters, the laws of his country require that only a male heir can rule. It is revealed that Akeem fathered a son during his last trip to Queens, so of course Akeem returns to New York to bring back his son to take his place as prince. Originally intended to be theatrically released by Paramount Pictures, the film's distribution rights were sold to Amazon Studios due to theater closures from the COVID-19 pandemic. And you guys got a chance to sit and watch this movie in the last couple of days. What did you think?
I'll tell you what. So I had the whole laptop set up because I was going to type a bunch of notes when I started the movie, right? It's like, okay, Dan, I got to take notes for this, They open it up. It is exactly like the opener for the first movie, so I'll give them okay. They're nostalgic for that. Well, let's just say I watched it once. I'll never watch it again. It's cute enough that they brought people back and brought all these really cool musical actors, and but no. It was a bag of shit to me. It was funny enough, and I liked a lot about it, but I would never watch it again.
No. Fair enough. Jeremy, what did you think?
Why do you make me follow her when she does shit like that? Because I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Jesus. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to build back from this. I don't know. I enjoyed it, and I did, there were some moments where I actually did laugh out loud, and and again, we all know my feelings about 30-year sequels, as I fucking call them now, because that seems to be the trend. And they did mention that in the movie, because when he was talking to the groomer, there was a meta moment where he's like, what do we have? Superheroes and sequels and stuff no one asked for?
Jeremy, I laughed so hard. I laughed so hard when they said that.
I had to laugh at it too, because I'm like, ha, you funny little fucker.
You admit you shouldn't have made this movie, but
I don't know. It's like, yeah, if it's not, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. I'm like, yeah, maybe because maybe it's stab at Lion King too. Like, you got James Earl Jones, he did the same thing with that. I don't know. I like the update. I like the updated version of it. It's kind of like you think of the old one, it kind of fits, it works, and then this one, I'm kind of like.
Do you agree with me that it's like taking a really good movie plot and then turning into a Hallmark television movie? It still has the merits of a good movie, but it's still technically like a Hallmark TV movie. It's not going to be like up there, but I don't know. That's the best I could say. Maybe bag of shit.
I don't know.
It's okay, but I just was really let down. It was too much copycatting. Now there was enough stuff that was different.
You take the things that are good about it. That's what the parts that were funny. I'm like, come on. When you realize you come back, and for one thing, I have to give props to Blade. That was hilarious.
Oh,
that was amazing.
Yeah. As soon as he came on screen, I was like, oh, fuck yeah.
I'm like, if he walked up with the shades and shit, he's like big bird teeth. Oh, they did mention Mufasa, and he's like, with like the inspiration from Mufasa. I'm like, he's back there, right? Like, or if they would have said Darth Vader, I would have been like, yeah. And I'm like, I mean, come on. The first thing you see is you realize, oh yeah, that woman's still jumping on leg and barking like a dog for 30 years because no one told her to stop. I was just like, no. I was like, oh, yikes. I was like, oh, that poor woman. Mm-hmm. Also, I mean, I don't know, maybe. I thought the name was kind of funny, Nextoria. I'm like, really? That was the best? Okay. That was a little weird to me. I don't know. The king of Nextoria.
I thought it was part of the goofiness of the whole thing anyway.
Yeah, I knew that was the funny bit, yeah.
That's ultimately what this movie is supposed to be anyway. It's just kind of goofy. That's what the original was. One at its core was goofy. I mean, it's a rom-com.
Seriously, yeah.
Yeah. It's a rom-com. I mean,
would you watch it again?
I would watch it again. I actually watched it a couple times.
I would.
I would. I'm not going to run to watch it again. Like, I'm not going to call a bunch of friends and say, "Hey, come over. You've got to watch Coming to America."
That's gonna be a thing too.
But if I'm sitting around the house and I just want to get a good giggle out of something, I mean, yeah, I'll take this movie. If I don't feel like trying something new that I haven't seen, if I want something I know is going to entertain me for a couple hours, I'll take this movie. I mean, honestly, overall, I give the movie a thumbs up overall. It was funny. The hard part about making these sequels 10, 15, 20, 175 years after the original is that you can't just make them so much better. They have to fit in with the original still. And that's one of the things that I kind of liked about this movie is it did fit. It was kind of that. I mean, obviously, you're talking about some fictional, country in Africa where they're kind of untouched by all the craziness of the world. They just kind of do their own thing, and those countries don't really exist anywhere in the world anymore. So, I mean, I don't mind getting lost in a place like Zamunda. That's the kind of place that I would want to go and check out. But what's great about it is that Eddie Murphy, and from what I was reading about it as I was doing a little bit of the research, is he was very particular about how everything was going to be portrayed, how everything was going to look. He didn't want it to be outlandish and crazy. He still wanted to be Akeem. He didn't want, and there's even these jokes early in the movie where he talks about his royal robes being on fleek. It's like, because his character in the first movie is, like I said, he's kind of a fish out of water. He's not really. He doesn't really know the ways of the world the way that a lot of other people do, and he's still kind of that character now. His daughters are very versed in the modern world, but he's still that guy who's just not really connected with how the modern world really works, the terminology and things like that. Yeah, there's generational gap, and he played that. I think he played it perfectly. Now, do I think the movie is perfect? No.
It's funny to me because I'm like, I'm probably more his daughter's age, so I think it's kind of funny seeing it from them because I'm like, we'll see. I see why this is funny.
Yeah, there were some things about it that bothered me. It's like I'm really particular about death scenes. If you fuck up a death scene, you can fuck up the entire movie.
That was one of my big issues with it. He's not even sitting on a throne. He's standing in a fucking coffin. I'm gonna die now.
I didn't get that scene. It was like if they would have finished that scene, and then it's like him and his father share a nice little look or a nice little moment, and then you cut away to the next scene and it's his actual funeral. That would have flowed a lot better to me. Maybe it's an editing thing that because a lot of people don't catch things like that. As I've learned how important editing is to filmmaking over the last several years, I'm starting to catch some things like this. But I think honestly, I don't know whose idea it was to have him just be like, okay, I'm going to die now. And then in the middle of this party, while Gladys Knight, and don't get me wrong, I love all the music.
Oh, yeah, I love that part.
And when it got to Gladys Knight, that was the crescendo of a bunch of great musicians.
But don't you think it would be better if they'd had the funeral and then they take him back to bed and he died in bed saying, man, that was a great party.
I could think of about 100 different ways that his death could have been handled that would have been better than what they did. They made it kind of, I don't think his death should have been a joke, and that's kind of what they turned it into being.
Yeah.
I know it's a comedy movie, and comedy is at the core of everything, but his death is significant, not just to the overall story, but to the character of Akeem. And yes. I feel like his death could have been handled a lot better. There was a span of about 50 minutes after I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to watch the rest of this movie now. It's not going to.
Thank you.
It kind of
so bad for cutting it up.
Well, not because I thought the movie was going to be terrible from then on out, just because it kind of took me out of it. I got back into the movie, and when I sat and watched it the second time, I was able to I was able to pay attention to those few minutes after that a lot closer and find a lot more of the comedy out of it. But still, that death scene was just not good. It wasn't good at all.
Maybe I need to watch it again. I think maybe I hyped it up too much. I wanted something really new but still with that as a base, it just was too much of I don't know.
I know it was them trying to have them have like their moment. Now he's kind of like, now you understand. Like now Akeem gets it, and he's like, but it was kind of just like, okay, see ya. I'm like, I was actually sitting there kind of like Akeem, like, really? This is how we're doing it right now? Then I'm like, damn. And I know James Earl Jones probably can't, do like he did, back in the 80s. So I get his character was kind of cut short, and it's not like he doesn't still have a presence over the movie because they do mention him, periodically. But it was a little bit weird. I don't know. You could have even done a little Darth Vader joke. Maybe his robe is just like disappeared in some shit. That would have been funny. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it would have.
You could have walked out on the balcony. You could have saw like a big cloud of him, like from fucking The Lion King. Like, remember who you are, Akeem. You could have done
that would have made that scene more palatable to me. I still don't think it would have been much better, but more palatable. But they did have the ZNN joke. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The News Network. You can hear
that
it's
was
very
the guy
clearly
from the
him.
Daily Show. That was the guy from the Daily Show who hosts it
Yeah,
now, Trevor, whatever.
Yeah,
I was like, holy shit, they really went all out for some of these cameos. And I don't know, it almost would have been better if they just would have had one scene at the beginning of the movie with James Earl Jones in bed saying his goodbyes to Akeem and skip the whole funeral with him being there making it funny.
Because, other than Gladys Knight and then Morgan Freeman just being himself, what was really kind of the point of the funeral, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I know he wanted to have like a living funeral, which is the thing, but like.
And they must have needed. I don't think they really needed him to tie in the son angle either. I don't think they needed him. Like, and for the fact that his dad knew about this bastard, how did his dad know about the bastard son, but he didn't even remember having sex with her?
Because he got drugged. Like, he didn't remember what the hell. Like, it came to him eventually, like, wait.
Well, maybe because Arsenio Hall's character told the king, maybe.
Yeah, because I'm like,
okay.
damn. Because isn't it funny that, damn it, fucking Semi did some shit that got him in trouble again? That's kind of the joke.
Okay.
After
I can
all
see
this
that
time.
Semi would have told the king, you know. Okay.
I think we overlooked the plot holes because we just want to enjoy the movie. This wasn't one of those movies where the plot holes were gonna mean a lot anyway. So whatever. I will easily ignore the plot holes just because just to move the story along. We've talked about it before, especially on like Avengers Endgame. There's a plot hole every 15 seconds, but it's great because the payoff for the fans was so wonderful that I'm going to easily overlook that. But one of the other things that kind of bothered me about it was they missed a perfect moment for a piece of dialogue tie-in, and I kept waiting for Sherry Headley to say it, and she never did, and that was disappointing because it would have been perfect. There's a piece of dialogue towards the end of the first movie where Queen Aeolion looks at Joffrey Joffer, King Joffer, and he says, "These are the laws of our land. Who am I to change it?" She looks at him and says, "I thought you were the king." And I thought that was a great piece of dialogue for that film.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of
car,
the
right?
turning points. Exactly.
Yeah,
she
kind of like.
And there could have been a great moment for Akeem to kind of come to where he would eventually come to in the movie by having the same kind of a conversation with Lisa, with Sherry Headley's character, where he could say, because it seemed like the entire movie he's bothered by the fact that he can't just kind of like pass some law saying that his oldest daughter can rule Zamunda whenever her time comes. And I kind of saw, honestly, if you watch the movie, you saw the ending coming as far as how that was going to play itself out. But I didn't understand why you wouldn't take advantage of that golden piece of of dialogue from the first movie that was actually, it was perfectly acted by those two actors and very, very well done, perfectly timed, perfectly delivered. I really do think if they could have had that similar scene, almost word for word, and it would have fit in perfectly. So they're laying in bed, and she's giving him hell about it. And he goes, "Well, who am I to change?" And she looks at him and goes, "I thought you were the king." Wouldn't
and
that
that's
have
a
been?
scene that is one part where I agree with you. That would have been great to copycat and just adapt slightly.
Yeah, they missed a huge opportunity there.
And I wish there had been a scene where the daughter had come to him and said, I want to be queen. I want to run Zamunda. And instead they just had the mom go, well, she wants to. I mean, they had a great actress who played her, and she had some powerful scenes with great lines, but I wish they had given her that father-daughter moment before the end of the movie where he tells her, what he tells her. It would have been nice to see that, but,
It would have been. But, I mean, overall, I thought it was a good movie. I mean, I'll go back and watch it again. I do like the fact that, I mean, for one, like you said, they kind of made fun of themselves in a couple different places. And I like it when movies can do that. I think it's phenomenal. I mean, self-deprecating humor is some of the best humor you can have. And this movie seems to take pokes at itself every now and again over the course of the film. And I thought they were very well timed. They weren't just making jokes for the sake of making jokes. They were well timed. Because what the one girl was talking about with the young prince about he says all American movies are superheroes and rehab, sequels to 30-year-old movies. It's also well timed for where they're at in the story.
Yeah,
I thought the dialogue and everything, the writing was put together very, very well. A lot better than I would have expected for a movie like this, which is really just going to play off the old tropes of the old movies anyway.
And the casting of the son character, I don't know who he is or what he's acted in before. He's really good. He was spot on with this role. No complaints about casting at all.
Also, I didn't even bother looking at a cast listing for this. I probably should have had that handy with me.
And the hairdresser who becomes his queen, she's great too. I know, and costuming was fantastic, like in the first movie. I mean, it's just the more we talk about it, the more I like it, I guess. But my initial take was I wanted more out of it, but I probably had my hopes too high and expected too much.
Yeah, Jermaine Fowler is the name of the guy that played the prince.
Yeah, they had your girl Leslie Jones in there. I thought she was pretty great, which does prove, like I said, that proves I'm like trust me, she's hilarious and she's great.
She was.
Don't even worry about the Ghostbusters shit. That's not her fault. That's not. And I'm glad she seemed like she was enjoying herself, like being, she plays that outlandish mother, which it makes sense. She just does what she does.
And when Eddie Murphy came into her apartment, she goes, "My prince, he came back." It was hilarious.
Actually, a king now.
Yeah,
king. She's like, "Oh, wait." Right.
Jeremy, you might find this kind of interesting. Jermaine Fowler, who played the prince, he's actually going to be in Marvel's Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur coming out next year. So we're going to be seeing a little bit more of him in the Marvel universe as well.
Interesting. Actually, speaking of the Marvel universe, I know I'm stretching and I really want fan service, but wouldn't it have been hilarious if we hadn't lost Chadwick Boseman? Wouldn't it have been funny if they did have Wakanda just come in for a second and then just kind of leave? That would have been pretty fucking funny.
That would have been kind of awesome.
Like at the end for the wedding scene, them all partying with all. Yeah, that would have been great.
Yeah, fucking everybody from Wakanda there too. And I know what's his name? Tracy Morgan says, dude, he's like, I don't care where you're from, man. Wakanda, fucking wherever, dude. I'm like, we had to go there, didn't we?
That would have been kind of funny. I don't know that Disney would have allowed it. But,
yeah, I know. but
because Disney's kind of got to stick up their ass about shit like that. But, whatever.
It would have been nice.
But again, the cast of this was phenomenal. I mean, Leslie Jones, Tracy Morgan, Kiki Lane all came into the cast.
We have a donation, by the way.
We do. You know what? I'll have to go. I'll go look see what it is. I'm sorry. For those of you who don't know, and I haven't really gone into it on camera yet or even anywhere else, I've ditched Streamlabs. I'm really, really tired of Streamlabs and everything they do, everything they are. They're getting on my damn nerves. And I've switched over to Stream Elements, but I'm still working out a few things on Stream Elements. So you can donate with either one of the links that are in the description, but they won't pop up when I'm using something like Restream. But I will go look at that here in just 1 second. But yeah, I mean, the cast is fantastic.
Frank, are you I immediately thought of you. I'm like, you're not going to talk the best cameo? They had Matumbo in there. Come on.
They had so many, though. I mean, that whole series is stacked with fantastic cameos.
They even brought the twins back from the booth scene in the bar, Peaches or whatever.
Right.
At the very end.
And they brought back Sexual Chocolate. Yes.
Oh yes.
I don't think
it was a given. I was waiting.
But that's one of the funny. That's one of the things I thought was actually really funny about the movie is time did not matter in this movie at all, because you can't tell me in real life from 1980 whatever until 2021 that those guys would all still be breathing. It's like, but we're just going to ignore the fact that these guys are probably 175 years old and still working at Mighty Sharp, the little barbershop somewhere in Queens.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing it, I'm like, what are the odds these guys are still alive? And I was like, you know what? Who fucking cares? This is hilarious. As soon as they walk in, they're like, hey, it's Kunta Kinte. They remember him 30-something years ago.
Oh, the funny thing is, didn't they do that like in Forrest Gump? Isn't it like when you see the different decades, you keep hearing different news things? Like you see that little barbershop, like that same old man is still sitting there like through 30 years of time already. And I'm like, yeah, the same old man is still in the damn barbershop. What's fucking news? So I didn't. It's like it doesn't matter. You know, you want to see them do that shit again because those four guys are fucking hilarious.
Boy, it logged me out of Streamlabs and everything. Streamlabs must be mad at me for walking away now.
Feelings mutual.
Yeah, well, piss on Streamlabs. But yeah, like I said, the cast. I mean, you've got so much of the original cast came back, and like I said, when you have that kind of chemistry, you have to do what you can to keep that together. So much of the original cast comes back. Murphy Hall, who else? Sherry Headley was the one that I thought was really cool. She came back because I know she had done a lot of acting and in some fairly significant roles in the years since, but she never really got to that. That huge level of being in one or two movies a year. James Earl Jones, John Amos all came back. They got Vanessa Bell Calloway, who plays Imani, the one who's like hopping up and down and barking. They got her to come back, which I thought was cool shit.
And by the way, she looked very good in that dress that they made look like the original. She looked very
all tattered.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I really liked about the movie as well was the costuming and everything, the wardrobe and all that. As a matter of fact, Eddie Murphy, I was reading an article where he was talking about this film, and he said that he actually kept the I forget what scene they were in, but the red royal robe or whatever, he actually kept that because he liked it so much. And I was like, damn, it's a good thing. And then you add, I mean, who do you add? Jermaine Fowler, Leslie Jones, who was tremendously hilarious. Kiki Lane, who's been in a lot of stuff. Her star is really on the rise as Mika, which I did not realize until I was reading this. Mika is Akeem spelled backwards. He named his daughter his own name spelled backwards.
Oh, that's cool.
And then you add Wesley Snipes, who, look, I shit on Wesley Snipes for being a bit one note. That guy does comedy so well.
Right.
I mean, he can do Passenger 57 and The Expendables and all that adventurous shit. But man, he actually is really, really funny. And when you put him in a role like this, he can. I mean, because his whole character is like overbearing, over exaggerated, kind of a cartoon character almost. But he plays it so cool. But he's still intimidating enough to where you know that you can actually feel a little bit of danger from him for Akeem because of, we talk about assassinating him and shit like that throughout the course of the entire movie.
You feel uneasy because you're like, is he gonna? Are we all laughing nervously together? You gonna kill me, or you just, That's what I'm saying. I enjoyed every scene I saw him in. I'm like, yeah, I like this. This is hilarious.
Oh yeah. Casey did send in a donation. He said, Frank, I'm still offended that you would think I would stoop so low to cheat in the toilet paper race. You did. I got more honor than that. By the way, I didn't break the world record. The world record is 9.8 seconds. Okay, well, I don't know. 9.8 seconds to unravel a whole thing of toilet paper. That seems like a lot. I don't know.
Without any assistance?
Without any mechanical assist? I guess. I don't know. I'll have to look that up.
I'm like, I just put a stick on a drill and just...
But it's pretty funny though, Casey. The bruise that you showed on Twitter is actually on the top of your knee. If you would have fallen down, you think the bruise would have been below the knee.
We might have to have a Casey Gate investigation.
Just saying.
Oh no!
Analyzing the video frame by frame.
Yeah, but
zoom and enhance.
But moving on to some of the trivia about the movie, actually, and getting back to what we were talking about earlier, a cameo appearance was written for Samuel L. Jackson's character from the first movie, where he would still be robbing the old McDowell's restaurant 30 years later. But due to his filming schedule, Jackson was unable to appear. He could be filming something for Doctor Strange. Who the hell knows? I don't know. If he's filming a Marvel cameo, I'll be okay with it. But it would have been nice to have. Well, they actually did film this in Atlanta, mostly in Atlanta. So they do film a lot of the Marvel stuff. Actually, you know what? Doctor Strange is filming in London.
That's true.
Maybe they're not filming in Atlanta, but I know Marvel films most of their stuff at Pinewood Studios in Atlanta. So I thought maybe if he was in the neighborhood, you could pop in there for a quick little, couple hours, take a couple of shots. But if he's filming anything for Doctor Strange, it's in London. So we'll take the pass on this one.
No, you should have just come in wearing an eye patch instead, but with the beanie, just like
That would have been, or he could have been the one that walked in and started talking about Wakanda. Who the hell knows?
Right, that's what I'm saying. It's there.
He just pokes his head in the room and be like, I'm sorry, I was looking for another African prince, and just walks back out.
Right.
That could have been funny. That could have worked. But Easy tells the kids a story about the Bunny and the Bear. That's one of the many legendary jokes from Eddie Murphy's Delirious stand-up. Have you guys seen Delirious?
A long time ago.
He's one of the bits in that routine is that he's trying to tell a joke that kids can tell at school the next day. So he tells a joke about a bear and a bunny are shitting in the woods, and the bear looks over at the bunny and says, "Excuse me, do you have a problem with shit sticking to your fur?" And the bunny says, "Well, no, not really." He says, "Okay, good." So the bear wiped his ass with the rabbit. But that's the story that General Easy was telling the kids, was the one about the bunny and the bear, which is a joke from Eddie Murphy's Delirious stand-up routine. I caught that the second time. I didn't really catch it the first time. I wasn't listening that closely to what he was saying. But the second time I was trying to pay a little bit of attention. I was like, wait a minute, what? And then I came across this and was like, okay, now it makes sense. But yeah, I thought that was really funny. Another piece of trivia is when the Nextdorian lieutenant first introduced General Easy, he claims him to be the inspiration for Mufasa. James Earl Jones played Mufasa in both iterations of The Lion King. I know you got ahead of me on that one. Maybe I should start cluing you guys in on some of this trivia that I want to use, so that way you don't jump me. Thanks, Jeremy. Dick.
Just saying.
Another tidbit of information, and I didn't realize this till I was actually looking through the cast list. Eddie Murphy's real-life daughter, Bella Murphy, plays the middle daughter, Oma.
Oh, cool.
That's his actual daughter, Bella Murphy.
I was wondering about that. For some reason, in the back of my head, I was like, are one of these like his real kids? I was like, wait, don't they have a daughter? I kind of got distracted by the movie. I was like,
I thought it was neat. They let her be nerdy with the glasses and a little more reserved, and I thought that was really cool.
Well, she was Sherry. She was the smart one.
Right.
She's the one that's like building the special superhero suit for Eddie Murphy, so he could be. I don't know. They've already got a Black Panther. What kind of superhero could he have been from Zamunda?
Oh, God.
Babar the Elephant God. Did you guys get that reference as well, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah, the elephant.
I love that they brought back an old elephant to be the baby elephant all grown up. I was like, oh.
I didn't catch it until the second time I watched it, but the CGI there was pretty obvious, especially when the elephant was walking through.
Yeah.
I didn't catch it the first time. I didn't care. It didn't take out any of my enjoyment of the scene. I did think that was a nice little callback that kind of made me feel good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed.
But yeah, I mean, overall, honestly, it was good enough. It was what I wanted it to be.
Okay, good enough's better than a bag of shit. Agreed.
Well, I didn't want it to be some special extravaganza. I wanted a celebration of kind of this whole world rather than some in-depth story. I didn't need anything written by Scorsese or directed by Scorsese or written by some great writer. I didn't need it to be an Oscar-worthy movie. I just wanted to sit down and be entertained for a couple hours. And the movie did that ultimately. Like I said, a couple of things I wasn't fond of. Missed that really cool dialogue cue that would have been nice. Yeah. Didn't like the death scene at all. I love the musical acts, but the way he's just kind of like smiles and keels over, I didn't sit well with me. It wasn't a good death scene, but I'm picky on those kinds of things. But I do love the fact that they held true to so much of the universe, because this General Easy is actually the son of the Commander Easy, which is the one who introduces his daughter to Eddie Murphy to be his wife in the first movie. I don't know if you guys caught that or not.
I did. Because
he even says, "I've gotten over you leaving my sister," or whatever, and then that's when she hops in. But yeah, so I didn't catch that at first either until the second movie. I was like, easy. I was like, man, does that sound familiar? Because I actually went back and watched the first one after I watched the second one. I should have watched them both in order.
Well, that's the only way they could have brought back his first betrothed wife or bride, because how else would they bring her back even for a cameo unless her family was involved in the story somehow?
Yeah, but I did they actually call the country Nextdoria in the first movie? I didn't catch that one.
I don't think they did because
They just said,
they
your bride, and they said general presenting his daughter. They didn't say where they were from.
Okay, well,
also,
as far as you know, she could have been Zamundan.
Yeah, but Nextdoria was kind of a goofy name for the country. I was kind of like, I mean, I'm not asking for more from the movie, but I mean, Nextdoria, come on, that's you're not trying too hard on that one, are you?
Yeah.
But I mean, you could have just like put some numbers in a random word generator and come up with something that sounded African that wasn't an actually African country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's just me. But anyway,
I think it's funny that they still brought back Louis Anderson just to be at McDowell's.
I love that they even had the McDowells within Zamunda. Loved it. And the scene in the back when he was mopping, talking to his father-in-law was really heartwarming. I'm not gonna lie.
That was a really good scene. I like that one.
That was not a copy. That wasn't anything they, could have taken from the first movie. That was actual new stuff, and I like that about it.
Yeah.
And you know what the best part about that damn scene was? That they made a point about this because when he goes and fills up the McFlurby, I'm like, McDowell's ice cream machine fucking works. You know what? Because Eddie Murphy kind of looks at it too, like, I'm like, I see what you did there, and you just spoke to me. You know what? Fuck McDonald's. Sorry. Not sponsored, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. No, and I think it's funny that because when Louis Anderson was talking in the first movie, he's like, oh, well, see, I started out mopping too, and here I am. I'm washing the lettuce. In like 2 years, I'll be assistant manager. And I'm like, I don't know why I looked at his name tag in this movie and it says manager. I'm like, oh, he did it. He did
it. And he moved to Zamunda, by the way. He didn't stay in Queens.
I was so happy he did it.
It makes me wonder if the father-in-law gave up everything because he knew McDonald's would end up suing him in the U.S. and in Zamunda he's protected. So why not just move to Zamunda and be able to do whatever the fuck I want without corporate espionage or whatever claims? Because
I think I heard that something did actually happen in real life with that, which is kind of funny because then he mentions it in the news scene where he's like, yeah, if I had all these McDonald's lawyers coming after me and whatnot, I'm like,
oh, I think I read about that when I was looking into some of this stuff. They had actually cleared it with McDonald's to do this whole thing for the first movie, but they didn't tell whoever was running the McDonald's in that area, because where they filmed the first movie was actually a Wendy's restaurant that was going to be remodeled. So they went ahead and just kind of like put the golden arcs on it and called it McDowell's and did the filming for however long they did it. And then whoever owned or was managing the McDonald's down the street actually came down there with a lawyer and were taking pictures of this place where they were filming this stuff for. Do
you think that's why they did the reference of the guy taking pictures?
Yeah, the guy.
Like a nod to what happened during filming.
It may be. Now that you mentioned it, that scene kind of escaped my mind. So yeah, it's probably what they were doing because they were just kind of a put up as to how funny that whole situation was.
They maybe even had the same photographer and lawyer who came up in the movie. Who knows?
Maybe. All I know is that's pretty funny. But I mean, a good movie. It didn't need to be spectacular. It didn't need to be over the top. It just needed to fit in with the original. I thought it fit in pretty well, and with the exception of a couple of hiccups, I thought it was fantastic. I kind of loved the whole. It seemed like that moment where Eddie was having a little staff fight with his daughters. It was a bit of a passing of the torch moment. Not so much. Not as obvious or strong, but it did seem like it was one of those moments where you're making it obvious that while Eddie Murphy may be the present, the future is his daughters. And I thought that scene felt really good to watch to me. I don't know if it felt like that to you guys or not.
It was nice because it started off with him and Arsenio Hall doing it in the first movie, so it was still cool. Like I was like, oh, now he's doing it with his daughters, which is pretty sweet. Which they've been training for this kind of deal, and also. Because this was in I saw this in a list once of the top movie insults, and I'm glad they fucking kept it. When he said, "All right, go on attack me, split from my baboon's balls," he still said it. Yes,
still funny after all these years.
Yes, of course. Because I know he's like, I can't fight. I'm like, come on, man. You know you want to pick up a staff and kick some ass again. I'm glad and I know it was probably a stunt guy doing his parts, but I don't care. It was still funny to see him kick Blade's ass. I mean, with his daughter, you
know. I kind of wonder. Eddie Murphy looked like he was in pretty decent shape throughout that scene, but I kind of wondered if he was wearing a girdle because he seems a little bulky around the midsection.
Yeah, he wasn't there like this.
It's not a girdle. They're all wearing Spanx. They make Spanx for men now.
I'll take your word for that. I'm not buying them. I'll let my fat flow naturally. Thank you very much.
Frank is getting larger,
and I'm getting larger.
See, that joke wouldn't have worked if you had done that.
Totally. Well, you'll be getting smaller if people stop tipping you. Hey, you won't be able to buy food.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing. Those bastards.
Sorry.
Tip your pizza guy. Don't be a dick. But anyway, we'll wrap it up on the movie reviews. Move on to the next thing now. But before we move on to that, Cora, any final thoughts on coming to America?
It was good enough, like you said, and I probably won't watch it again more than once. I'm glad they did it. It's nice to have something new, like you said at the beginning of the show, to watch amidst everything going on. But I'm looking forward to James Bond now.
You'll be getting James Bond soon enough. Jeremy, any final thoughts for you on this movie?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I'm kind of glad now, even though I stayed up until like midnight watching these movies right in a row. Because I had to finish WandaVision with them, and I was like, it's like 8:00. I'm like, should I just watch it? I'm like, no. I wouldn't feel right if I didn't try to watch them together and seeing them together. And I'm like, it still fits. It still works within the same universe, and I still laughed. I still enjoyed it. And I think it was well done. Would watch again.
It was. I get it. A good movie. It fits. It fits, especially if you watch both of them back to back. You'll realize that the movies fit in very well together. They are very. Another thing I didn't quite like about it, but it didn't really take anything away from the movie, is like they could still drop the F-bomb in the first movie, and it would have been fun to see in some form of comedic conversation, see Eddie Murphy be like, fuck you or something like that. But I get it. You're trying to make things a little more PG these days because, the world that we lived in 1988 when this movie came out is not the world that we're living in today. And people are oversensitive bitches. So make it a bit PG-13 because ultimately the point of this movie was this family, was Eddie Murphy's continued journey, not just as the Prince of Zamunda, but now as the king, trying to get a world set up to where he's happy that his daughters are going to exist in. And for the most part, I thought it was very well done. I mean, I don't like giving grades or stars or anything to movies, but if I have to give something out of a 5, I'm giving it a solid like 3.5. It's a good movie to watch. Like I said, I'm not running to it. I'm kind of glad that I got a chance to sit at home and watch it. I don't think I would have been very happy if I would have had to have paid $15 to $17 to see this in the theater. But whatever. I'm not ready to buy it on DVD. Thank God it's free on Prime. That's all I'm saying. But it works. And you can watch both. And you can watch both these films on Prime, by the way. If you're an Amazon Prime member, they're all out there. I'm pretty sure you can find Coming to America, the first one, in the DVD bin at Walmart for like $6. A matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I saw it in the bin at Walmart today for not very much money. And This one, I'm pretty sure, is going to be out on DVD soon enough. But I mean, they're not bad movies to watch. I think you guys will enjoy them. I just hope you give them a chance. And just remember, it's a fun, goofy movie about this fictional king from a fictional country. Go with it. Don't look too much into it. It's going to be just fun.
Good advice.
Plus, in the second one, man, I'm like, the name King Akeem just kind of rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
It does.
Smooth. King Akeem. It does. I like it.
Sherry Headley's still got a great smile, by the way. That's one of the things I loved about her. The first movie was her smile. She's still got a great smile.
She's still beautiful. Oh, yeah.
But moving on. The star of both these movies is Eddie Murphy, and we all have some Eddie Murphy movies that we like. So, Cora, why don't you start with one of the Eddie Murphy movies that you've liked over the years? One of the things that you've loved about Eddie Murphy films.
Well, I'll do my first movie. We've talked about it today and on a previous show. Trading Spaces. We won't have to get it too far, but fantastic. Love it. And I know that that's partly why I love Coming to America, because it ties the two together with, and I just know it's just a great movie. We won't get into it too much because we've already talked about it, but yeah, that was the one I first thought of today.
A good movie that everybody should go watch. Again, one of those great movies from a great era of comedy in the 80s. Jeremy, what's one of the movies you wanted to bring up?
Do I steal Cora's again, or did she steal mine? Should I go there first? So we have a discussion.
Oh, I knew I should have put it in Twitter, but that's okay.
Well, because then we'd still find out. We'll bring it together. I guess we'll start off with Shrek then, because Shrek is love, Shrek is life. I'm trying to also not put into my mind that a movie came out in like 2001 or something like that, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm old. Jesus Christ. I don't know. Now that's why I said I picked movies that I'm like, this is when I got introduced to Eddie Murphy. So him being the donkey, I still thought it was funny. I'm like, he's still funny, but then like I said, seeing something like Coming to America when I was an adult, maybe it's nice that I saw it that way, because that's still funny to me too. Like I don't know, like you were saying, Frank, he's a genuinely funny guy, and he's a phenomenal actor at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I just something about Eddie Murphy being a donkey, an animated donkey in this movie. I don't know. It's very much his own character, and that's what makes it so damn funny. Can quite literally make an ass out of himself and still make it funny.
That period of Eddie Murphy's career where he went and did some of the more family friendly stuff, I get kind of worried when I see guys who are known for the raunchier, more grown up comedy. I get a little nervous when I see them try to step down into the more wholesome stuff, because sometimes it doesn't translate well. But it actually worked really, really well for him. As a matter of fact, I mean, I'll use this as my first movie. Actually, one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies is Dr. Dolittle, the first one. The sequels weren't all that great. Well, the second wasn't so bad, but the first one is definitely the best. He was able to. I mean, because at the root of Eddie Murphy is the comedy, is the comedic acting. But he proved that he can be funny and really work a character very, very well without, talking about Mr. T fucking him in the ass like he did in Delirious. I mean, it's like he can still be tremendous. He can be that family man. I mean, he's even a doctor in it, and he's even a convincing enough doctor just looking at him. So, yeah, honestly, like I said, I didn't really like when Adam Sandler decided to get out of his niche of comedy and do some of the more serious stuff. I think he eventually figured it out too, but it seemed like it was a natural progression for Eddie Murphy. Now, maybe it was because it was about this time that he was having kids, and maybe he was coming to a point in his life where he wanted to do more stuff like that. But I thought it was a fantastic movie for him, and a lot of those movies that he did were actually very, very good. The stuff like the Norbit and Nutty Professor and all that. They were all really, really good movies, and I was really surprised that he managed to make that transition so smoothly.
I wonder if that was the thing. Thank you for reminding me. That was the other thing I was trying to think about. Like, was that also the joke in this movie in Coming to America? Coming to America. When I'm not going to. That's a thing now. I almost want to do like a Wakanda, like to America. I don't know. It works. But when he said, like, we shouldn't do movies that are like, 30 years old, sequels or remixes, something like 30 years ago, I'm like, well, Nutty Professor was that same way, wasn't it? Because maybe it's me. I saw it and I was kind of like, eh. But I like the one from the 60s. I don't know why. I don't know.
It wasn't a direct sequel. It was a reboot.
No, it's like a reboot.
So,
that's what I mean. I'm like, was
that maybe one thing?
Was that maybe a stab at it?
Get into Eddie Murphy as Dr. Dolittle. The original was just fantastic, and I couldn't. I mean, I'm a Rex Harrison fan. I love all him and My Fair Lady. I mean, anyways, I just couldn't do it. I mean, I get he wanted to do it, and there was a lot of interest in it, and people liked it probably. I don't know. He's great in it, but I wish it could have been something else.
It was tremendously successful, though.
Oh, I agree.
I get that it's like it's his like. I can separate them a little bit because I'm like, yeah, this is Jerry Lewis and this is Eddie Murphy. Like it's doing it the way they would do it. You know what I mean? They're both they're both great comedic actors, and
yeah,
I see it, and because now it comes to mind is like Aladdin. how the hell was Will Smith going to follow Robin Williams? But I'm like, you just kind of. Well, I tell people, I'm like, the movie wasn't bad. It's just like you just kind of what would you expect Will Smith to be the genie to be, and that's what you get. So that's, I mean, don't try to think of it that way. Just take it for what it is, I guess, and it works. If you haven't seen it, no. I thought it was still funny. I'm like, I know you're not gonna do it, which is why I still haven't seen the Jumanji movies. I'm like, I like Robin Williams too much I don't want to. I feel like I don't want to do it to myself. I love The Rock. I love Kevin Hart.
It's a completely different dimension of Jumanji. It doesn't disrespect Robin Williams' character at all.
Yeah, because now it's like a video game cartridge, like a retro.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, they're in Jumanji. They're not necessarily playing Jumanji.
It's not coming out of the game. It's them in it now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know.
But I hear you. I hear you.
It's like, well, when I watch Jaws, I only watch Jaws because we're not going to talk about I don't have to explain that one. There's a reason why we don't.
Hateful. The second one wasn't terrible. After that, it gets a little off the rails. But Dr. Dolittle was one of the 3 movies that I wanted to talk about. Cora, let's go back to you. What are one of the other Eddie Murphy movies that you liked?
Well, it's not a movie, but it's all of his SNL work. He started in 80 and stayed to 84. He did 65 episodes, and it took many years, all the way from 1984 to 2019, for him to come back as a guest host for the week. Fantastic. I loved his character Buckwheat and Gumby. Loved him on SNL. It's not a movie, I know technically, but 65 episodes over 4 years on a comedy sketch show, I think deserves a nod tonight.
Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood?
Oh, yeah.
Who is it? Sorry, I scared the shit out of my dog.
I'm glad Cora went that direction with it because, I mean, I've said it 100 times on this show. I think that Saturday Night Live died around in the early 90s. But, man, that late 70s on into the 80s, that cast they had there, God, that was such comic gold.
And he was so good that they fired the whole cast in let me see, I forget what year it was, but he at the end of the first year he started, they fired everybody except Eddie and Joe Piscopo. Piscopo. And that to me is a testament that they saw how great he was. Even at 19 years old, trying out for SNL, man, it just like Jim Carrey and other people, sometimes these comedy sketch shows just totally just change the trajectory of someone's career, and I love it.
Absolutely. Jeremy, what was the movie you wanted to talk about?
I guess we're going to keep up the friendly fun times, and my next one was actually Daddy Daycare.
Good movie.
I've never seen it, but I keep forgetting to watch it.
Now when you said, Frank, and I'm glad you said this when you did, to think of some Eddie Murphy movies. Really, I've been trying these other ones to get the list up for guilty pleasure movies, and it's I added one, underrated movies. We should talk about ones that are underrated that we think need to be,
Mm-hmm.
But I had Daddy Daycare, I think, on guilty pleasure, and it's the only reason why I say that. But I took it out and moved it to this because for a period of time there, I don't know why. Yeah, if you ever just get really obsessed with one movie and you just watch it constantly for some reason, over and over. I don't know why. I'm trying to remember how old I was. I don't know. I might have been in my mid-teens, but I don't know why I just started watching that movie constantly. I never got tired of it. I might watch it now. It's over there in on the other side of that wall in the bookshelf. But yeah, it's still family friendly. It's still got its funny moments, and I don't know. The premise kind of says it all. What if these 2 dads just started up a babysitting business because they lost their high-paying jobs, and then come to find out, hey, they loved it. Also, you got Morticia Addams as the antagonist, so you can't go wrong there.
Angelica Houston, amazing. Cora, you said you haven't seen this movie?
I have not. I remember hearing about it and it getting a lot of attention. Just never. I never got in front of a TV or a screen and saw it.
Yeah, the sequel was terrible. I mean, it had funny
we
scenes,
don't
but it just wasn't.
Talk about that shit. It doesn't have anything. It has nothing. No, that is the Indiana Jones 4 of the daycare universe. We don't talk about
it. we just don't. It's the Jaws 3D. We don't want that movie to have existed.
Superman 4, Quest for Peace.
The Quest for Crap.
The bag of crap. Quest for the bag
of crap. But yeah, you know, one of the movies that, I mean, come on, you can't think of Eddie Murphy without thinking of Beverly Hills Cop. I mean,
I have seen that, for the record. I've seen
I was going to let you.
1 and 2.
Have that.
1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Third one. No, I think I'm okay on the third one. The only thing I liked about the third one was that they filmed it at Great America, which is like, you know, for me and Jeremy, we know Kings Island, which is near here. That used to be, they're all owned by the same people. And Great America was the theme park that I always went to when I was a kid. It was about 40 minutes from where I grew up. They actually filmed all the whatever the hell Wonderland crap that the amusement park that is in the movie. They actually filmed all those scenes at that amusement park. And I know some people were actually there the day that they were filming a few of the things. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. But yeah, they actually filmed at the amusement park that I used to go to growing up. Yeah, I wasn't there either. But so that's my one little claim to fame for I've been to that movie set, so to speak. But yeah, other than that movie's terrible. It's just not good. They didn't explain away some of the characters that weren't in it. They didn't explain it away very well. Not very good at all. But Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, fantastic 80s cop movies.
Yes.
He got a chance to kind of branch out and do some action, but at the same time he was still comedic Eddie Murphy. Mm-hmm. He really got to flash his comedic chops doing this. The one-liners, the smart aleck remarks, the jokes, they were all so perfectly timed.
The casting. I mean, all the supporting roles were great actors.
Oh yeah. And at the time you had John Ashmore, who played not Bogomil, but the older of the partners. You had like Judge Reinhold, who was kind of coming into his own as an actor. He was hitting his prime right about this.
I was waiting for say his name.
As Billy Rosewood, yeah. And yeah, honestly, it's one of the few. Beverly Hills Cop 2 is one of the few sequels that is every bit as good and on par with the original. A lot of people think that the second movie is actually the best film in the series.
I was going to say the same thing. The same thing with Shrek. I'm like, Shrek and Shrek 2 are fucking pretty damn good, just in their own rights. I mean, in terms of like sequels, like when you talk about, I call it the Terminator effect because everyone refers to like T2 being fucking phenomenal. Also, again, for a sequel to an already amazing movie. So like it's the same thing with Shrek and Shrek 2. Amazing.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, both those movies they're kind of a mosaic of what all cop films, really good buddy cop films, were back in the 80s. But man, that was a decade where those films worked the best. It's like you had that, you had like Lethal Weapon, you had Tango and Cash, all in the span of that 5 or 6 years. You had some killer buddy cop movies come out. And again, one of the best things about it is they didn't take themselves that damn seriously. So you could be a little goofy, put in a little bit of action, a little bit of one-liners, and a bad guy that you can very easily hate because he's a drug dealer or he murdered the wrong person or whatever. You know, he murdered John Wick's dog, so you want him to die. It's the perfect recipe for one of those just movies where you just go sit down, stuff popcorn in your face for 2 hours, and just have fun.
And speaking of that movie, they just announced they're making a 4th one.
Yes. I actually read that yesterday. I forget what I was reading. Something I was just kind of like looking at random shit on Eddie Murphy. And they actually I guess it has actually been here's the caveat here. It's been announced. Lots of movies get announced and never see the light of day. So, but I'm confident that if people overall kind of generally like Coming to America, that they may go ahead and kind of get behind a sequel for Beverly Hills Cop.
Someone said it's a Netflix thing, but I'd assumed it'd be an Amazon thing. If you
Eddie Murphy did sign this big deal with Netflix. He had signed.
That's why it says Netflix then.
Well, it'll probably be Netflix. That's my guess of where it's going to end up. But I'd heard that the deal that Eddie Murphy had signed with Netflix was not just for, because he did Dolomite, and he did, and I think he had something else in the works other than a potential sequel to Beverly Hills Cop. But I had heard that one of the things he was going to do with Netflix was another stand-up special. So we were going to be able to see more Eddie Murphy stand-up for the first time since maybe 1990 at the latest. I would love to see him go back and do another like hour and a half of stand-up. I think that'd be fucking great.
I'm reading some weird comment saying Judge Reinhold was rumored to have turned down the Santa Claus 4 to do Beverly Hills Cop 4.
I respect you, sir.
Hey, I'm with that. I am totally.
And John Ashton's coming back, and
I think I know when the movie's going to come out.
Why? Is there an anniversary?
No, I just sat here and did some math. I'm like, well, when did the third one come out? It was 1994. I added 30, so 2024. Sounds like a good year to slate it in.
Oh,
I got you guys.
That sounds about right. Well, you know, one of the funny things that I had read is somebody had asked Eddie Murphy if he had planned to make a third Coming to America movie. And he said, well, I don't know. He said, I'll probably do it when I'm 75 years old. He's like, I don't think there's going to be more point to telling any more of a cute story until he gets to be that age. So you never know. Because he's going to be somebody actually did the math in this article. He'll be 74 and Arsenio will be almost 80.
So they can do a scene of him standing in a coffin and dying.
Yeah, like, I'm going to die now.
God, I hope not. Please do that. I'll just die before the movie if that's going to be the way you go out. But that's intriguing to me because, I mean, he cares enough about the character and the world to make sure it's going to be done right. Like I said, I actually think Coming to America was very well done, and their response of it was handled with great care. I'm not against that idea, so we're going to see what happens in 2048 or whatever the hell that movie's going to come out. Hopefully the world hasn't been hit by a giant meteor. We haven't fallen into civil war by then.
We'll see if Amazon gets a lot of traction with this.
Maybe not. I mean,
I've seen the tag now. It says like the #1 movie in the world now, or Coming to America.
Dan said last night, and I said that's because it's on Prime and nobody has to pay to see it unless they're already.
Yes, and like now, like on the ads, and shit. Now it says like #1 movie. I'm like, well. Probably, but I could believe that.
I'll buy that.
Yeah. No, you won't buy it.
Hell yeah. Sorry. But let's see. Cora, I think you're up next. You got one more movie you want to talk about that's got Eddie Murphy in it?
Let me look at my thing I sent you because I'm blanking. Well, he already brought up Shrek, the Shrek movies. Not so much. No, don't be sorry. It's all good. I liked it because I'm not a musical person. I need to be real clear about that. I hate musicals. There's one in particular that if there is purgatory, it will be playing on repeat in the television or locked in a room, and I will have to watch that musical movie for the rest of eternity. However, in this movie, the Shrek movies, I like how Eddie Murphy does the singing, the funny songs, and it's like a 4-dimensional Eddie Murphy character because he's doing the voice, he's doing the funny quips, he's doing the actual plot, and he's doing these song and dance routines for the character. And you can just imagine when he's recording these things, him dancing in the studio. And it makes you wonder how cool would it be if this had been like a live action thing. And when I watch it, I think that's how Eddie Murphy would have played it. This donkey who's being funny walking down the path, or jumping off a rock, or thinking he's bigger than he is. And I don't know. It was fantastic. He's my favorite character. Donkey's my favorite character in all of the Shrek movies. And
I like that boulder. That's a nice boulder.
This would be so much easier if I wasn't colorblind.
Right. I don't have any toes. I think I need a hug.
And the fact that he falls in love with the dragon and
I was like,
flying donkey baby. Oh, they're just so cute. Like if I could have one of those instead of a dog, I would. They're just so fucking adorable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked Shrek to death. Jeremy, you got one more movie you want to give us?
Yeah, I do. So again, kind of from my childhood, the last one I have is the Disney's Haunted Mansion.
Yeah, the stuff he did with Disney was really, really good.
Yeah, and I don't know why I actually watched it again recently because I just had a weird wanting to watch it again. And I was like, wait a minute, this is the second movie that's been made based off a Disney ride. That's wild. Because you got Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion.
It worked out pretty good the first time. Why not give it another go, right?
Yeah, and it did. I like this movie. It works. I'm waiting for the movie with the teacups. I'm waiting for that movie about the ride. There's a Disney universe here of the rides that I'm waiting for. I don't know. It's still family friendly, but he's still kind of quirky and goofy in a way. And it's not like a scary movie. You know, you think, oh, it's the Haunted Mansion, but it's still...
It's Disney scary.
Yeah, I mean, and I enjoy the...
Is this a nod? Because I haven't seen it. Is this a nod to that some of the Goofy cartoons where there's a ghost in the old school Goofy haunted cartoons?
I don't know.
Not necessarily a nod to that, but I mean it's definitely Disney. It's because Disney doesn't do anything R-rated. They don't do anything horror or anything like that. No F-bombs or anything like that. No overtly sexual things. Mm-hmm. But they still managed to put them in a situation that you could imagine that they would be scared in, but it was all displayed very comically.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Maybe I shut my brain off and watched the movie, but then I was thinking about it. And if you've seen the movie, I'm like, this whole thing was the butler's fault. And then it's him trying to fix it again. You did fuck this up for everybody, and then now you're trying to fix it. I guess he got tired of being dead for like 100 fucking years, so he's like, okay, well, she looks like that woman that he fell in love with 100 years ago. So, I mean, also casting Chucky's bride, I can't think of her damn name. Casting her as Madame Leota in the Crystal Ball is absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah, she does the voice. She does the voice on Family Guy. Why am I drawing a blank on the name?
Yeah, I see her face and I hear her voice.
Yeah, me too.
I'm seeing Chucky. I'm seeing the bride of Chucky, and I can't think of her damn name.
Jennifer Tilly.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you. I'm usually good about
Family Guy cast list real quick. God, I'm bad. Getting old, my memory's starting to shake a little bit.
And I do appreciate that one of those little singing quartet heads, little stone heads. One of them was actually modeled after Disney, which is kind of funny. So there's that.
Wallace Shawn is in it. He's hilarious.
Hell yeah.
Oh, I'm watching this. If it's on Disney Plus, I'm watching this shit after I finish up on Marvel.
I can tell you for a fact it's on Disney Plus.
Princess Bride, bitch. Fuck
Inconceivable. No, yeah. I love him, and I don't know who plays the woman, and I assume like they're married, but like those two characters are just hilarious. Like those are a pair of side characters I absolutely love. And also Terrence Stamp. I mean, come on, how are you gonna beat him as like the fucking creepy ass butler?
That I remember the girl that acted with him in that plays his wife. She was just knockout gorgeous. She reminded me of a young Ashley Judd.
Marsha Thompson.
That sounds like that's probably I don't remember.
Sarah Edwards. Yeah.
Sarah Edwards. You know what's funny? I looked it up and like I don't know why. I was like, yeah, I don't know if I was. God.
She played the really cool FBI agent on White Collar that was on USA.
Nice.
I didn't watch White Collar. I know the show. I just didn't watch it.
She's fantastic. She's a beautiful accent.
She's British, I think, isn't she?
Yeah, I was like, is she actually English? Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember watching some of her, some of the press she did for this movie, actually, for Haunted Mansion, and I didn't realize she was British. I mean, dude, there's something. I mean, I don't know what it is about the British people. They can pull the American accent off almost flawlessly. Some of them can. I try to sound British, and I sound like I've had a stroke.
Son, he grows up to do more acting. He looks very familiar.
Well, also, if you watch Walking Dead, though, they can't do Southern American accents. Some of them struggle a little bit.
Michael John Jeffries.
Yeah.
He was in Spider-Man.
I think. Yeah. I think I looked it up and I was like, I didn't know. Apparently, if I can do math right, I think she was like my age when she did that movie, and I'm like, fucking what? She was 28. Huh?
After
I was 28 at that time.
Acting like she was married to a 47-year-old Eddie Murphy.
Hey.
That's just really gross.
Look, hey, I'm seeing weirder, okay? But that's what's funny is that the older version of the character, she like the woman that ended up dying. It's like she was English, so I'm like, I see what you did there.
The kid is in Dexter. He played a character on the TV show Dexter. That's where I fucking seen him. Yeah, the kid who grows up. Yeah.
Also, I want to talk about the fact that I'm like, I mean, the guy who owned the mansion, the Mr. Grady, is about that like Victorian style. I'm like, that man has just got some drip, and I fucking love it. The big puff tie and the fucking gold vest and the long overcoat. I love it. That's just
I haven't seen that movie almost since the time it came out. I think I saw it once or twice when it came out. I don't think I've seen it since.
Yeah, I watched it again. I wanted to see it again recently, so so I realized, oh yeah, Disney Plus is a thing. So Disney Plus and chill, whatever the rhyme is now. The kids say these days.
Yeah, the kids. You're like 12.
Yeah. There are 12-year-olds that, to me, I'm just like, hey, you're a fetus. Why are you talking to me? How old are you? I'm 28. No, you're old. Oh, shut up.
You were so old.
I had a kid do that to
Haunted
me.
Mansion when it first came out. You're so old.
Yeah.
I was in high school when that came out.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think it was right around high school, the high school year somewhere.
I was.
It was so long ago. Who the hell can remember?
I was almost finished with college.
I was still in 2003. Shit. Yeah, I was in elementary school still. Yeah.
Oh my god! Oh,
I'm sorry. I think I was in like 5th grade. Yeah.
Holy fuck! I feel old.
I was in like 5th or 6th grade. Yeah.
I stopped fighting it. You see all this gray? I stopped fighting getting old a long time ago. It's gonna happen.
Oh my god!
I don't want to be that guy, but I do have some
like
gray here.
Jeremy. You don't seem just like a young kid. You seem like a very knowledgeable, mature young man.
That's why I run with him. He makes me look smart.
I don't know about mature, but definitely. Yeah.
Well,
I'm like perpetually 15 years old.
You do have a really young look about you, especially if you shave.
If I shave this off, yeah. Well, I walked out of high school. I'm almost 30.
You look like you're about. Yeah, you look like you're just hitting puberty if you actually shaved all the beard off.
Check this out. I'll grow it again. You want to see a magic?
But I've got one more movie that I want to talk about before we start to wrap this thing up, and it's easily one of the best. Look, when you get 3 great comedic legends together, it's not going to be hard to come up with just absolute gold, and that's Harlem Nights. I talked about this a few weeks ago when we were talking about black comedians. I'm sorry, you get Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, and Red Fox in the same movie. Just sit down and enjoy the ride. They're going to kill it. And not only that, they made a tremendously funny movie out of a period piece. This is all about mobsters back in the 30s and 40s. Dude, how do you make a mob movie with 3 legendary comedians all kind of work out when you're trying to have a mob movie, you're trying to have some comedy, some jokes. Oh, by the way, here are these 3 geniuses. They're going to make it all look really, really easy. And then you add in like Della Reese and a bunch of other people that were in that movie.
Arsenio Hall was in it, by the way.
He was. Now that you mentioned it, yeah. How do you go wrong with that movie? There's no way to go wrong. It is one of the movies that everybody should watch, I think. Just a fantastic movie.
Weren't we gonna do something like that where we're like, for a show of like comedic pairs? Like that would be one I would think of is like Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall. I think like Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, like guys that always do movies together, and it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson do a lot of movies together, shit like that. That's my list. I'll take it.
Cora, have you seen this movie?
I have once a long time ago, but I'm going to look for it to rewatch it.
I actually just put it in I've had it in my queue for a while now on Amazon, and I've been meaning to sit and watch again because it's been several years since I've actually sat and watched it.
I'll add it now to my playlist.
But it's so good. It's got so many. I mean, you've got a little bit of the action, a whole lot of comedy. You've got this weird period piece about mobsters, and then you throw in the fact. And one of those interesting points about interesting things about that point in history is there were a lot of black mobsters at the time, but when you go back and look at all the history of the mobsters and all that stuff from that time, a lot of it's about the Italian stuff, Capone and all those guys. You don't really go into the other factions and the different organized crime syndicates that existed at the time, because all the attention seems to go to the Italian mafia. It is a reminder that there was like a black mafia, and please don't cancel me for saying it. I'm just putting the term out there. There was a mafia of African Americans at the time too that did a lot of similar things to what the Italian mafia did, but it does kind of operate in that world. It was all operated similarly as far as the crime stuff was concerned, but just their outlooks were all very different. And it was really interesting to go look at it from that point of view. And to make it kind of a comedy a lot of a comedy by adding these comedy legends in there, it was a great way to kind of just introduce that story to the world. A fantastic movie, just absolutely amazing, and so many great actors.
And by the way, if you have Paramount Plus, which is now the new CBS All Access, you can watch it for free.
Oh,
I just found out.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get a complete cast list because I want to make sure.
I know another comedic pair, Key and Peele.
Well, don't go giving away a future show already.
I already blew my list. I blew my whole audit there. I'm sorry. Speaking of blowing,
Stan Shaw was in it, and he's been a great supporting actor in a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, speaking of blowing your wad, it's Disney Plus and Thrust. Thank you for telling me what it was. Yeah.
Oh, Charlie Murphy was in it too. Young Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy. A little bit of Rick James for everybody. Rick James, bitch.
Yeah. But yeah, seriously though, I mean that's so good. See, they're Eddie Murphy and Richard Pryor star as a team that's running a nightclub in the late 30s Harlem while contending with other gangsters and corrupt police officials. And then it's got Danny Aiello, Red Fox. This is actually Red Fox's last film before his death in 1991, which is interesting. I didn't realize that. Della Reese, Murphy's brother Charlie. It came out in 1989.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a fantastic film. And just one-liners. It's like, look, Eddie Murphy delivers one-liners as good as any comedian in history, any comedian I've ever seen. The one-liner, again, this is one of those movies, and I said this about Spaceballs when Casey Azra joined me, and we did the retro review for that. It's like that movie is tremendously quotable. So is this one. This movie, there's just so many things that you could say in average everyday life now that people wouldn't get, but think it's hilarious and funny. That's when you point to them and go, "Hey, I got this from that movie. Go see that movie." It's even funnier when they say it. It's even funnier when Eddie Murphy says the things that I'm trying to sound funny saying.
I just realized I didn't realize he wrote and directed it. I thought he just was a star in it. Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah,
Very cool.
An absolutely hilarious movie. I hope you guys get a chance to go see it. But I think we've pretty much exhausted this topic for the night. It's probably about time to go ahead and start wrapping things up. Cora, do you have any topics before we get out of here? Any things you want to say?
When I was looking up his IMDb, and they were just talking about how he's gonna do the project for Netflix with the fourth installment of Beverly Hills Cop, makes me want to watch 2 and 3 because I haven't seen them yet, and I want to know what this one he's doing called. I said I saw the first one. I did.
Oh. Okay. Had a heart attack right there.
I'm curious about this other project that he's going to be in with Arnold Schwarzenegger that's called Triplets. That he's in the middle of with Danny DeVito. Look, it's a sequel to Twins.
Oh, God.
Okay, look at his IMDb. I was like, what is Triplets?
No.
I'm looking at it now, and I'm like,
I'm sold.
My.
As soon as you said Schwarzenegger and Triplets, I'm like, oh, I'm sold. I don't care.
It's directed by Ivan Reitman, writers Ryan Dixon and Josh Gad. No idea who they are. Wow.
Oh, I'm excited.
That's so Eddie Murphy not only has another one coming. Wow, he is double downing on like comeback sequels.
Hey, if it works,
sequels.
If it works, it works. I want it to work.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I want that one to work real bad.
That one I want. I mean, I will.
How are they going to add it? How are they going to add that he's a triplet? But who knows? So I guess we'll find out.
How do they even add that fucking him and DeVito were twins? You don't care.
It's all in the writing.
It's almost it's almost as believable as Arnold and DeVito being twins.
Well, here's what I like about the concept of that, though. For one, you've got Ivan Reitman directing it. And Ivan Reitman, dude, he just kills this whole genre. And you've got Josh Gad writing it. Josh Gad is funny as shit. Have you been watching this Reunited Apart stuff on YouTube?
Mm-mm.
Oh, it's so.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, one of the things he was doing over the course of the pandemic, since obviously people couldn't get together the way that we had done beforehand, is he would get the cast of old movies and TV shows from like the 80s and 90s together. And he got like a bunch of people from like Back to the Future, the Goonies he did one with all the Goonies cast and stuff like that. And he gets them all on like a Zoom call. He just has a conversation with them, and then like somebody else who was not in the movie but is a celebrity who was a big fan of the project will come in and like hit them all trivia. They'll recite different scenes and shit like that. It's really hilarious, and it's really cool because one of the things I don't like about film fandom these days is people have gotten away from the wanting to watch the behind the scenes features and stuff like that. They all just want the payoff. I love watching the behind the scenes stuff. I love watching the making of. I love listening to the commentary on DVD. I love all that shit. And this is a great way to go back and not just watch the movie again or watch some documentary that was made 30 years ago when the movie was being filmed, but to like reconnect with some of these people now, to hear some of these old stories directly from them. It's so much more enjoyable. And one of the things that's really cool is he always has that little stinger at the end of all the videos letting you know which movie he's doing next. He doesn't name them outright, but there'll be like some little hint. It's like when he was announcing the Ferris Bueller's Day Off, what he did. It's like at the very like last couple seconds of it, it was like watch out for our next one. Then it was just like that's all it said. So you knew exactly what movie he was going for next. But yeah, it's been so much fun to watch those, and a lot of people thought that he was only going to do like one season, but he decided to come back and do more. And Josh Gad is hilarious. He is so funny.
He is. Yeah. I remember seeing him in a few movies and thought he was great. So I'm glad you talked about this channel because I just subscribed. And I'm going to start watching some videos.
And the cool thing about it is there's links on there you can donate to all the kinds of charities that help first responders over the course of the pandemic, and like Feed America, a couple different charities that have been trying to help alleviate some of the problems that have come up through the course of the pandemic. All the proceeds from what he does goes to help fund these charities and really help people out.
Heartwarming.
So it's a good thing all around to go and at least just to go watch him. If you can't drop a few bucks. But, it's everything Josh Gad has done has been great. He was also in the Beauty and the Beast that just came out a couple years ago with Hermione from Harry Potter.
The live action. Emma Watson.
He played the teacup, I think, or he did the voice for one of the characters, I forget.
Nice.
And of course he's in the movie.
I think he was the clock. I think he was Cogsworth.
That sounds about right. I've never actually seen the movie all the way through. I know Jennifer and my stepdaughter watched it about 1,000 times each, but I
tried watching it. I didn't finish it.
But yeah, so Josh Gad being involved, Ivan Reitman, I'm with it. Bring it. I'm ready to see that movie. Look, Like I said, I'm okay with going back and revisiting stuff from the past as long as you're, one, trying to honor it, and B, you're trying to just kind of make the two movies fit. I don't want something that's outlandish and uses all the modern techniques and all that shit. I don't really want any of that. Just give me two things that work well together, and I'm happy. That's all I want. You don't have to win an Oscar by impressing me. Just give me what I want. I'm still very, very happy if I just give me a good movie. That's all I ask.
Can I ask you a question, Frank?
Yes.
What is the difference between pre-production and production when you're looking at IMDb? Like the triplets is in pre-production. Pre-production
is casting, set design. They're probably working with wardrobe. Production is actual filming. When they are on set.
Just announcing it means they haven't actually started work on it.
Yeah.
They're just saying funding's in place or something.
Yeah, announced basically means that, I mean, it's just that.
It's like
the motion picture company has said we're in the process of maybe getting this movie made.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying.
Then it goes from announcement to probably pre-production, stuff like that. Like I said, at the announcement stage, it's still kind of 50-50 if the movie ever sees the light of day.
Okay.
So And then, of course, you get into pre-production, which means they've actually got a budget finalized. They've greenlit the actual filming of the movie, and then they're doing things like designing set. They're blocking out scenes. Like you ever see those big pieces of paper where it looks like a comic book in black and white? Yeah, that's called blocking a scene.
Okay.
Or storyboarding a scene, rather.
Storyboard, yeah.
They'll start storyboarding and doing stuff to actually get it together. They'll start doing some advanced location scouting, things like that. You get into pre-production, your movie is actually going to start filming at some point.
Cool. Well, JCS Foot Rub is glad you explained it because he didn't either. So awesome. I like that.
But I'm happy as hell to hear that movie's coming. And like I said, I really, really want to see Beverly Hills Cop 4. I didn't really like part 3. Honestly, you could probably skip part 3. The only significant thing you need to know is that Inspector Todd gets killed, and that's what sends Axel down his journey of kind of revenge. That's all you know. That's the important part.
It's like the Halloween. Well, now you can skip all of them, but it's like you can skip the third Halloween movie. It has nothing to do with anything. But now you can skip all of them. Fuck it. Who even cares anymore? Sorry. Horror movies are really notoriously bad for convoluted storylines.
We're retconning everything.
Yes. Just ask me about my favorite series, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's up there with about how fucky the Halloween series is. But
no doubt. But we have rambled on long enough. We've rambled on long enough. Apparently, Jeremy had a little bit more left in the tank. We're glad he could get that out.
Hey.
As we wrap this up, Cora, do you have any final thoughts on tonight?
I loved it. It was a good excuse to watch the original, and I'm glad I saw the sequel. We'll see if I watch it again. And love talking Eddie Murphy, and I wouldn't have gone down the rabbit hole to find out about triplets if we hadn't done all this. So, yeah, awesome.
I am excited for triplets. I hope you guys are too. Jeremy, any final thoughts from you, sir?
I'm excited for triplets. Shit. I like I said, I watched both of them side by side, and that's maybe the best way to do it because they do follow one another pretty well. It's not. I mean, even if I had not seen it, I still enjoy it. So, Zamunda forever or whatever. I don't know.
Zamunda.
I was trying to make a Z or like not without being
Zamunda forever.
Like, Zamunda forever. Like Dr. Strange for a minute, doing some jitsu shit from after Naruto. Sorry. I want to piss off all the anime nerds. Sorry. I almost fucked up.
Wouldn't that have been cool if Dr. Strange would have showed up at the sparkly circle thing?
right behind me, on your left. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm very, very glad that this movie finally came out. I'm very glad that it got out to the masses. I thought it was entertaining. Again, it's not an Oscar winner. Don't go into it expecting to see some great artistic piece of cinema. It's not going to be the next Dr. Zhivago. Just go in there and enjoy the world. Get lost in the world of Zamunda one more time and these goofy characters and this fish out of water prince who is just not really in tune with how the world works all the time.
Well, let's be honest. Post WandaVision, it was nice to have something to look forward to without feeling like, oh, we don't get to look forward to one for Friday.
No, exactly. Exactly. But so definitely go see Coming to America 2, the sequel. I hate that. That's never going to sit well with me, I swear. But thank you guys for hanging out. Also, don't forget, even though we're done with WandaVision, there is still some breakdown that probably needs to happen about it all. And we'll be doing that Monday. We'll be joined by our good friend Nightwatch over from the Nightwatch Zone. You can follow him on Twitter. You can see it right there on the screen. I'm looking forward to doing some stuff to getting together with him and just having a great talk about WandaVision. Breaking down, not episode by episode like we've been doing for the last 9 weeks, just kind of an overall observations that we have from the series and stuff like that as we get into Falcon and Winter Soldier, which comes out in a couple weeks. Also, don't forget, we have a Discord. I haven't been plugging this nearly enough. It's in the description for all the videos.
I'll
go down there.
If you want.
There's a section for WandaVision. I've already got a section in there for Falcon and Winter Soldier. There will probably be other sections that open up as we move on to different things, other movie reviews, things like that. There's a general discussion area on there, of course. Just go talk about movies. Have fun. Let's throw some theories around. Let's speculate and just really get into movies and have fun and just talk about all this shit because that's one of the funnest things to do is to do all that. Thank you guys very much for watching. Thank you for my co-hosts again for doing a phenomenal job. You guys are absolutely kick-ass and you're one of the reasons why our channel is growing steadily. I don't say that enough to you guys. I want to say it on the air. Jeremy and Corey, you guys are fantastic. Also to Aaron, who's going to be here with us. Aaron is going to be with us Monday as well. It's going to be a good discussion.
Wow.
So we're going to have plenty.
Night Watch. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, we're going to have plenty of people here just
be
talk
ready
about
for over a 2-hour show. That's all I got to say.
I'm going to try to limit it to 2 hours because Aaron tends to ramble, so I'm going to have to keep Aaron in check a little bit. But he is very smart, and Night's going to be
bring
great
your popcorn.
Night. It's gonna be great to finally have Knight over here and be able to do some stuff with him. He's a real smart
Frank
guy as
and
well.
I were in his chat the other day. He was doing a review of the Lost Boys movie with his co-host Coriander. They have a great format for his show, and they're a good channel over there.
They're coming up on 800 subs. So if you guys get a chance, go check out the link to his channel in the description below. Definitely go help him out. He does a lot of really cool stuff. And I don't have the graphic up, but don't forget to support our Patreon. We actually have one out there for $5 a month. I don't have the graphic up, I'm sorry. But for $5 a month, you can enter yourself for a chance to win $25 in free movie tickets every month. The theater of your choice. Just go see a movie. We don't do this to necessarily feed the beast that makes the movie. There are billions of dollars they're going to make. We do this right now because it's very important that as theaters start to open up in more and more states, we're finally getting to the point where we're starting to open up some of the stuff from this pandemic. More and more states are opening up. Going to the theater and dropping a few bucks at the concession stand or just dropping a few bucks at whatever can really help them get back on their feet as well. The theater industry has been almost completely decimated by all this. The biggest movie theater company in the world has almost closed because of this pandemic. So, I mean, even the big companies were not safe from all this. So go out there and support these kids that are just out there working the box office, working the concession stand. They need these jobs too to try to help get their normalcy back to where it was before the chaos of this pandemic. So go support them. Go see a movie. Go buy a box of candy and a drink. Let these guys know that you're there to support them. And we can send you $25 in free gift certificates for any theater you want just by supporting us for $5 a month. We give it away every Thursday of every first Thursday of the month on that show. And the last winner was Casey as Raw. I'm actually going to go as soon as we get done with here and send him his $25 to go see movies. So if you support us, you're supporting them. You're supporting a lot of different people just with $5 a month. So thank you guys for all of you who are already signed up to the Patreon. I'll start reading off the list like Drew does eventually, but I don't want to take 17 hours to do it all. But thank you guys for checking us out. Thanks for coming around. And we hope you guys like it. You guys will come back. We'll be back, Monday with our big WandaVision breakdown. Hope you guys will come back around for that. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.